Hey guys, welcome back to RHR Jen. I'm so glad you're here. Guys, I'm continuing on with Betrayal. Oh, I thought I could have it. There you go. The Tom Bower book, Betrayal. I'm continuing on with my recap of that. We're working our way through it. Today's is juicy. Now I'm posting as often as I can, so check back lots. I just keep dropping 2 chapters at a time. And so check back lots, and I have them going into a playlist so you can watch them all together if you choose. But today we're going to talk about William and Harry's relationship, but then we're going to kind of breeze over that because parts of that are a little slow. But then, chapter 5, it's called Briefings. We get into the nitty gritty of the allegations of bullying. You're going to want to hear this. Oh my goodness. All right. I'm going to go ahead and tell you one thing. They tried to blame William and Catherine. Harry and Meghan. Oh my God, shocker to nobody. But we're going to break it all down. We're going to get into it. It's juicy. If you're new here, I'm Jen. Welcome. Make sure you're subscribed because I really am pushing the 200,000 marks, and it really helps me out. Thank you so much for that. All right. Also, I want to remind you all, in case you missed it, I have new merch. I love my new merch. The flock. I have different mugs, stickers, shirts, all that stuff. So check that out. I also have this one. I love geese. I was called a drunk goose by one of Meghan's followers. And I've been cracking up and honking ever since. So that's what all the geese are about and why you'll often hear me make geese references. But I love the new merch. I hope you do too. Thank you to everybody who's picked that up. All right, let's dive into this book, shall we? Because I'm excited. Okay. So let's talk. The thing is on this, of course, I'm breaking it down. I'm going through it all. This is chapter 4 and chapter 5 of this book. I don't do boring. And I would not. This book is not boring at all. This book is fabulous. I love it. I'm so happy with it. But I hit a slow chapter. We don't do that here. So I'm going to breeze right through chapter 4. I'll hit you with some of the highlights. Believe me, I've got notes. But then we're going to get into the good stuff. So just know that. The other thing I keep telling you guys is I don't normally look down at my notes so much. There's so much to this book that I keep notes. So if I'm looking down, that's what's going on. Thank you for bearing with me on that. And thank you to everybody who's left me such wonderful comments that you love my book reviews and my thoughts on all this. That just means the world to me. I'm so happy to do this, and I'm so happy. I feel like we're doing this together. We're like having this conversation. I'm like, can you believe this? And you're like, can you believe this? I'm loving your comments. Keep those coming. If you have questions you want me to address in future episodes, leave those as well. Thoughts, feelings, expressions of outrage, whatever it is, leave those. I'm loving those. Thank you so much. All right, let's jump in. So chapter 4, as mentioned, let's see, this picks up on page 31. As mentioned, this one's a little bit slower. So we're going to move a little faster through it. Okay. And then we'll get into the juicy. So William and Harry is the title of this one. Now, as I had previously said, I was asked, is this just rehashing the old stuff? No, it's not. It's going a little deeper. And right now we are into some older stuff. The book itself in the prologue talks about picking up at Her Majesty the Queen's funeral. This book is big. So it sounds like it's just rehash. It's not. It is leading toward the newer stuff, but I feel like what Tom is doing is kind of countering some of the ludicrous claims that Harry and Meghan maybe have made sense in different, I don't know, interviews, publications, whatever. And he's kind of, and even in Spare, I feel like Tom Bower is going back and addressing some of that stuff, and he's doing a fantastic job. So I don't mind it at all. I think it's great because he's giving us more of a, like you'll see when we get into the bullying stuff, he does go deeper into it, and he's addressing things that weren't previously addressed. So it's fantastic. I highly recommend the book. Let's keep him. He's already at #1 bestseller. Let's keep him there. Okay. William and Harry, again, picking up on page 31. So as you can imagine, this is, it starts off with, just like we all said, we were all excited for Harry and Meghan when she first came on the scene. They seemed they seemed very happy, and everybody was, I think they used, fizzed. That's the word that Tom Bower used. Everyone was fizzed, whatever that means. Excited, bubbly, I don't know. He actually called Harry, and I thought this was really funny, a direct quote from Tom Bower, that Harry had fallen into Meghan's arms as a needy casualty of a dysfunctional family. Now, I'm not calling the royals dysfunctional. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. You can decide that. But I think that's funny that he's being called a needy casualty. He goes into how Meghan was good at assessing Harry's weaknesses. I feel like that's something we've all pointed out, even on the Harry and Meghan Netflix show. I brought that up before. Is that pap on the scooter again? By saying that to Harry, she knows she's going to rile him up. She knows what she's doing. And again, it's not that I'm blaming Meghan. He's just as much to blame. But there's just, you know what you get with him. I mean, it's all over spare. And even in this book, Tom goes into his obsession with the media, his misguided obsession with the media. It's very odd. Okay, so the things I will point out in this chapter, and this gets a little bit, I don't love this. He kind of goes after King Charles a little bit. He goes after King Charles just in terms of his parenting, that he does call King Charles. He goes into that Tom Bower's opinion is that King Charles was an absentee dad and, not the most warm, shall we say. And he goes back over when they lost Diana and, allegations of Charles not being the best at comforting the boys, that kind of thing. So the reason I say ugh is because William was raised in the same household. William doesn't use that as an excuse to be a fill in the blank to everybody. Harry does. I'm not saying that wouldn't screw you up. It would screw anybody up if that's the case. But I just don't like giving Harry an out like that. I just don't. And honestly, I've been through it. I'm not going to go through it. And you guys have chimed in the comments. We've all had horrible tragedies happen. I lost a sibling. We've all had horrible, horrible things happen that test us and rock us to our core. And it's horrible and unfortunate. And I don't think any of us handle it right. How can you? You don't know how to handle it. But part of growing and learning is dealing with things. And there's not a day goes by that it doesn't affect me, but I can't use that as my excuse to be horrible to people or be a monster or to talk bad about my family. I would never, even if my family's bugging me for whatever reason, you don't do that. I don't think. Anyway, you just don't speak out like that. I just think, And again, we've all been through tragedy. It's not a contest. Some of us just absolute unspeakable things. And so for Harry to use that, I just don't like it. So I don't like, that's why I get a little, it sucks. It's horrible. I'm not downplaying what he must have experienced. But again, I say, well, so did Prince William, and look at the difference. Okay, let's move on. Something that came up that I do want to point out is that it's brought up that allegedly King Charles would say to Harry, quote, "Who knows if I'm even your real father?" Now, here's my take on this. Okay. If he said that, that's horrible. The reason I say it like that is because Tom Bower worded it that Harry has recalled this quip. And one of the brilliance of Tom Bower is that he does this. He'll put things out there and let you decide how you feel. If I see that Harry says this, I have trouble believing it. If King Charles, and I don't know that I'm not standing up for King Charles. I've been very vocal that I'm fine with him. I respect his position, but I'm not a diehard, I'm a royalist. So I respect their position. My heart lies with William and Catherine. So anyway, but my point on that is this. That's horrible if it was said. It's horrible even if it wasn't said, but Harry was made to feel that way. But it's also hard to say because Harry is Harry and he's misguided. And in my opinion, seems dim and looking for a reason to just be bitter. So I can't tell if that's just Harry being Harry. I don't know. But my point is, it sounds like, I mean, it sounds like a weird upbringing. I don't know how else to describe it. So he goes into that, and how Harry, oh, this was interesting. So I've heard some of the stuff that Diana allegedly has said about Harry. One of the things that was brought up in this book is that Diana called Harry a, quote, needy thumbsucker sitting on her lap demanding attention. Now, again, I'd say, well, that's kind of cruel. It depends on, I mean, was he 10 years old when she said that? In which case, okay, fine. Like, what? But if he was little, that might be kind of cruel. And I don't know. I'll let you decide what you want to do with that. I just want to kind of breeze past this, because it's not that I'm standing up for anybody. It's more just, it's more Harry. He's blaming people for his misery. He describes his dad as, quote, emotionally dead, and he's turned against his father. I don't know. Again, I feel like that's kind of Harry using it as an excuse to be Harry. Now, on page 35, this is toward the end of the chapter, he praises William and says that Prince William was very encouraging of Harry and trying to help him when Harry came back from being in the military, because he could see that Harry was struggling with mental health. And in 2016, that's when they founded the Heads Together to try to persuade people to not feel guilty about talking about mental health. I've been, again, not to make it about, this is something that's important to me and something that I really like. I agree completely. I talk openly about seeing a therapist. She watches. Hi, if you're watching, she's wonderful. And I'll tell anybody that'll listen, hey, don't be too proud. Again, we all have hard things that we have to deal with in our lives. It's part of, I think, being alive, and nobody knows how to handle it. So there's nothing wrong with admitting that you need help and talking to people. I mean, I actually think it's a sign of strength, is admitting, hey, I'm not handling this very well. I need to talk to somebody who might be able to help me, cope or get through it, or whatever you're trying to do. So my hat's off to them for that. I do like that cause and initiative. I think it's important. Okay. So, all right, I'm going to move through this because, again, I don't do boring. Let's go on. Let's go on to chapter 5, because this is where it gets juicy. Now, again, at the beginning, it starts off a little slow, but then, bam, let's get into that. All right, so chapter 5 is Briefings. So at the beginning, the interesting part to me is it goes into how Harry seemed completely unaware of how Meghan had been so, well, to quote Tom Bower, unaware of how Meghan had ruthlessly dished her own family. I think he means ditched, but but he's talking about specifically like at the wedding, not including anybody, and how she had let go of most of the family in her life, minus her mother. Well, then on page 37, Tom Bower goes into how Meghan started encouraging Harry to do the same to his family, cut them loose. Well, I can't read the book to you, but I can give you quotes from it. I'm just going to read you one quote from this book. Here we go. Page 37. Charles did not seem to trouble. Part of the quote was talking about how Harry should cut off the family. So, quote, it didn't seem to trouble Meghan. They're racist, she suggested, was the view to take, and publicly too. So right there, I mean, just as we all suspected, it's just, hey, that's what we can say. And there's a reason to cut ties. And there's a reason for Megxit. So, then it goes into how, again, not his words, but my opinion, Meghan would use this to manipulate Harry. She would say things like, they did this to your mother. They would turn against her. And, she would use Diana to trigger Harry, and it worked. So that would get him to turn against the family. Again, I'm not making him a victim in all this. I'm not. Nobody made him do this. He did it, just as much willingly as she did. So he's just as much to blame as her. But I'm saying she knew what she was doing and the triggers, and Diana is definitely obviously a trigger. I don't really want to go back through it, but Tom Bower did at the beginning of Betrayal, went back through the Diana accident and how, again, my words, not Tom's, but misguided. Harry seems to be about this, that he's blaming the press. But again, Tom goes into, as we've been through in every book I've read about them, he fixates on that, and he seemingly got it wrong. It seems to be that he ignores the fact that, I'm going to say allegedly, but I don't even think I have to say allegedly. I think it's been proven that alcohol was involved and that Diana's lack of wearing a seatbelt were what did it. So that's horrible. And obviously nobody wishes that on anybody, but Harry, again, he has this anger toward the press that is so bizarre. Now, something interesting, and I want to give a shout out to Lady C, because Lady C also brings this up. Tom Bower goes a little bit harder in this one. I won't say against Diana, but maybe about Diana and how she would often use the press to manipulate things to her advantage. Lady C did a great job of going into that in her book. And he basically explains that she would use the media to plot against the royal family, often like we would see. Now, this is my opinion. Often we see Harry and Meghan do this. So when the royal family has something big, like a tour or a birthday or whatever it is, okay, what do we see? We see Harry and Meghan especially trying to dominate the headlines, trying to post something, trying to do something to get her name out there. That's what Tom Bower talks to, is how Diana would do that. He specifically points to King Charles. I believe it was his 50th birthday. Diana put on it was a leopard print bikini, and she was doing cartwheels on the beach, and she called Piers Morgan and had him out there trying to get photos of her, so that way it'd be all over it was the night before his birthday celebration. So she knew that would dominate the press rather than his birthday. So you decide what you want to do with that information. But I will say that's a tactic we often see Harry and Meghan use. All right, let's get into the juicy stuff. It picks up around page 40. Okay, I want to talk about this. So it goes into how when Harry met Meghan, everything changed. Harry used to be it sounds like jovial, happy, kind to the press. No longer. There's a specific, Arthur Edwards was his name. He was a royal photographer, and he was with the Sun. And he talks about how Harry before would be kind, and maybe they'd go have a drink, or he'd engage in some sport or play with some kids, whatever it was. He understood how it worked and how the royal family needed the press to cover. It's kind of a relationship that you want to keep good for the most part. Well, Harry, everything changed. They talk about how he was rude and would ignore people, and he used to join in at the children at the school, but then the quote is that something had ruptured. Namely, he'd gotten involved with Meghan, and everything changed. Meanwhile, Meghan seemed to remain commercially minded. The funny thing here is on page 40, Tom Bower calls her, quote, a dedicated professional influencer. And I'm laughing because, hello, that's still the case. I wouldn't say that she's great at it, but I would say that's what she's going for. So there's something else interesting. Of course, we had all heard, I believe it was on the Australia tour, which is funny because they're headed back to Australia, but on the Australia tour, she had mentioned that she thought they should be getting paid. She's just disgusting. That's just such a weird thing to say. When it just shows how little, the complete lack of appreciation for everything that was given to her and done for her, and everything from the wedding to the perks and everything in between. Okay. But anyway, it was brought up that she apparently according to Tom Bower, says She questioned why she was not paid for visiting an English town to meet the public. So, again, something that comes out throughout this chapter is a theme of as soon as the wedding was done, she saw it as the sparkle wearing off. And it was just things like this complaint about everything, not caught to, I mean, just everything, everything that we know. And it was, again, Harry doing likewise. Oh, this was kind of a shocker. Did you guys know this? I did not know this. Okay, so I knew that she had taken pictures when Harry proposed. We've seen the pictures of him proposing and what the dog with the cast and stuff. So weird. Well, did you know that she live streamed it? Yep, she live streamed it. And it says she had live streamed Harry proposing marriage to her in Nottingham Cottage with simultaneous commentary to her then best friend Jessica Mulroney in Toronto. Did you know that? I didn't know that was a thing. So again, the beauty of Tom Bower is he doesn't always come right out and say this, but he leads you to the idea. So the idea, I'm assuming, is that one day it could be sold. My God. Okay. Anyway, yeah, it says one day it would surely be valuable. That's absolutely not. How does Harry not say, why are you live streaming this? This is a private moment. I understand that people bring in sometimes people to film things or photograph their engagement, but if it occurs to you to pick up your phone and live stream that moment, then I would say your priorities are pretty strange. But it goes into from there, Harry was making demands that were completely inappropriate for his position. People that worked with them, namely the Queen's private secretary, like Edward Young, started to notice Harry's behavior changing and the demands. He would demand to participate in things where they said, we don't need you, Harry. We don't need you and Meghan here. And the more that he would demand things, the more, they would say, no, you're not part of this, Harry. His paranoia seemed to he would think that they were pushing him away. So again, it's a cycle. I think it's a Harry being Harry. It's a cycle where he's doing this and where he can't see the big picture, or just like Meghan, I'm saying, she doesn't appreciate anything. He doesn't seem to appreciate anything. So he's seeing it this completely bizarre way that his family and the press are working together. He just can't get out of his own way with the press thing. It's so bizarre. But a big theme of this is that Meghan would be unhappy about things and it would incite Harry. And Harry would become visibly angry, it seems. So, again, a match made in complete hell. But it was their dislike of not caught that they were given, of course, Frogmore. Next, he demanded he could no longer share an office with Prince William. That was no longer a thing. So the Queen was starting to grow tired of the demands that, again, were inappropriate. And so he thought that he would be offered something at Windsor Castle, and she said no. She did offer a few rooms at Buckingham Palace. Well, those two, Harry and Meghan, saw that as a snub. Who else in their right mind would see it as a snub if you're offered some rooms at Buckingham Palace? There's palace in the name there, but it's not what they wanted exactly, so they see it as a snub. Unbelievable. And again, who do you think you are? Ugh, gross. All right, this is absolutely bonkers. I want to get your eyeballs on this. Page 42. So then we go into the allegations of the bull stuff. YouTube doesn't love that word, so I'm not going to use it a bunch, but you know what I'm talking about. Bull and then space, or not space, and then ing, Okay. Well, when this was coming up and the behaviors and stuff, and of course we know about the Jason Knopf and the report that was being written up to send to Prince William's, I believe it's his private secretary that it was being sent to. This is a quote from Tom Bower. He says that Harry said, quote, employees could not take constructive criticism. The media, said Harry, should be told his version that they couldn't take constructive criticism, and the employees should be made to sign an NDA. So I want to remind you all that in his book, Spare, he said they were willing to lie to protect my brother, but not tell the truth to help, whatever, protect me, whatever that quote was. Okay. But right here, we see evidence that Harry was more than willing to lie when it benefits him and slash Meghan. So here you have these valid complaints of horrible work stuff going on, the bull stuff, many allegations where the stories seem to be matching up. And yet Harry wanted to spin it in the media and have them all sign NDAs. Of course he did. Of course. Again, hypocrisy. But then he doubles down and says, quote, the Cambridges were to blame. So he's trying to blame William and Catherine for allegations of workplace bull stuff. Okay. Just as he did with the costume that he decided to wear. Do you remember that? And so many other things. He tries to blame William and Catherine. It's absolutely ludicrous. And it shows you Harry's thought process. Nothing's ever his or Meghan's fault. Everything falls back on William and Catherine and or the media. That is bonkers. You're never going to grow or learn from this mindset. And it's honestly the mindset of a toddler. I didn't do it. The dog did it. My brother did it. My sister did it, whatever. Adults don't typically do things like this. But again, here's Harry. Sure. They go into, the media started reporting on the complaints and that Knopf would not do this. He wouldn't have them. He wouldn't take on Harry's suggestion because, well, Tom Bower says the complaints were, after all, true. There you go. So before it seems like it was danced around, but they're pointing to that it is in fact true. It's not a shock, but it's interesting to see that in writing. And again, I always point to they don't sue Tom Bower. So he might be onto something here. I think he is. Okay. Page 43, we go into some more interesting stuff and more juicy details, including accusation that Meghan likes to play mind games with her staff. So what's being accused here is that she had encouraged this staff member in a specific meeting with other people present, it sounds like, to take on a specific task. He doesn't say what the task is. He just says a specific task. Okay. But then at the next meeting, she would completely ignore the original person asked. It was all mind games, and she would turn to somebody else and in front of that person, assign them the task. So it's all about demeaning, belittling. It's report after report of people who had witnessed behavior like this, of trying to just make people feel awful and make them feel little and unappreciated and things like that. It's absolutely sickening to hear. Another thing that was brought up in this part is another theme, I will say, is jealousy. Lots of jealousy. What do I mean? Well, clearly it's Harry and Meghan being jealous, but this theme that Harry just believed that the whole family was jealous of he and Meghan, but especially of Meghan. It's very bizarre. So he would talk about how, like, when they went to Australia the first time and what a disaster that was, but he didn't see it that way. He would see the adoring fans, and Tom Bower pointed out, well, yeah, because you're part of the royal family, and the royal family is generally adored in Australia as part of the Commonwealth, and people are respectful of the family as a whole. So you might not, just as I said earlier, King Charles might not be my favorite, but I respect the royal family. I respect his position. So I'm not going to sit here and just belittle him. I'm going to respect the whole, monarchy. And so I think the same could be said here. nowadays it's probably different because we know how much, Harry's no longer a working member of the royal family. So it may not be the same, but I think even back then, if you weren't keen on Harry and Meghan, you'd still go out to support because you love the royal family, or maybe you didn't know at that point. Now we know. But again, Harry's whole thing is he believed it was jealousy because the reports were so bad out of Australia. And again, this is where the bull stuff seemed to come to a head between, well, it said Harry and Meghan and the staff, but especially with Meghan. And so Harry's logic, instead of learning from this and being like, oh my gosh, we got to fix this, we got to make this right, we got whatever, got to change some behaviors and attitudes here. Harry believed that what was really happening was the royal family, the actual royal family, was jealous of the reception that Harry and Meghan were getting. He was unable to see that it might have something to do with the love of the family as a whole. So, I mean, it's just absolute, again, it shows the mindset of Harry and how juvenile he continues to be. We've heard this story before, but I just find it so interesting. I want to remind you something that's brought up on page 44. Again, it's still in the chapter. What is this chapter called? This one was called Briefings. This story goes into the David Beckham. There wasn't any new information, but I find it so interesting. David Beckham was asked by Harry to come to the Sydney Invictus Games. And Beckham had especially flown to Australia with his family in tow to do this for Harry. Well, Harry allegedly, according to Tom Bower, was, and it's not the first time we've heard this, forbade by Meghan to speak to David Beckham. So Harry then turns around and ordered that under no circumstances would he meet with Beckham or be photographed with him. So Beckham ended up waiting all day. And when nothing, I mean, again, he flew out there. After waiting all day, no acknowledgement, he ended up returning home to the house he had rented. Now, Bower didn't go into this one. I can't remember if it was him or in Cordia's or maybe Lady C's, but I've read so many books. I've heard details that, oh no, I know what it was. Tom Bower went into his Dave and Victoria book that allegedly Meghan was so threatened by their star power, she couldn't stand the idea, especially of her and Victoria competing, because Victoria is way more popular. She can't stand that. So she forbade Harry to interact with David. I'm sorry, but at what point does Harry turn to her and say, grow up? I invited this man out. I'm going to work with him. I know I'm asking way too much, but I'm saying even if whatever, like if your spouse has a problem with somebody you work with, but you work with that person, yeah, you may not be buddy with them outside of work, but at work, you still have to interact with the person, right? You still have to suck it up. So Harry couldn't see that, hey, this is a good cause before they took it over. You know what I mean? But this is a good cause. These are wounded veterans. We should make nice. We should, take pictures, whatever. There's no reason not to get along except for Meghan's petty jealousy. And Harry's such an idiot. He can't put his foot down. So that just made me sick all over again seeing that. Let's see here. And then I thought this was really good. Toward the end of the chapter, he goes back into, the fight between William and Harry, the infamous William broke my necklace and broke the dog bowl, or what pushed me into a dog bowl fight. Okay. Well, I don't know if I remember this because I think Harry told it, shocker, a different way in Spare. I can't remember what Harry alleged the fight was over. I'm sure he made it seem like jealousy or something. But Tom Bower is alleging that the fight was because William was sticking up for the staff. He was getting more reports. Now, remember, this is something I talked about in the last video. Catherine burst into tears because she was so upset over the allegations of how Meghan had treated the staff. So now William was hearing the same and very much involved, and he was furious. And so that's what led to blows between the brothers. I thought that was interesting. So again, it makes me love William and Catherine even more because they're standing up for the staff, and they think it's BS the way that they're understanding that Harry and Meghan treated the staff. It's disgusting, isn't it? Ugh. Awful people. All right. He goes back into the Jason Knopf and, Meghan and helping Omid. We already know that, so I'm not going to spend time on that. There was something else that was interesting. On page 47, he goes into Meghan's claim. I'm going to be sensitive about this. I've told my opinion before. You've said your opinion before. I feel like we're all on the same page. But do you remember Meghan's claim that she wanted to, erase herself, we'll say, because she was so unhappy. It was January 2019. Okay. I just didn't want to, the quote. Okay. Well, Tom Bower says the quote is, if she could not be queen, then she would destroy her enemies, just as she had done with her father and anyone who frustrated her ambition. There you go. So she saw it as a way to try to hurt the royal family, just as we all know and suspected. But I'm saying it's just so interesting to see him spell it out like that, just as we had called. Again, as I said, mental health is very important to me, and I don't take that stuff lightly. But I said at the time, I'm sorry, I don't believe it. They've told so many lies and tried to manipulate people every way they can. I don't see this as any different from all of that. Let's see here. And then it wraps up with Harry being influenced by Meghan's vengeance and that he became a, quote, uncontrollable accomplice. So I thought that was good. And again, showing how he's just as bad as she is, and they're bringing out the absolute worst in each other. So I loved chapter 5, especially. I thought chapter 4 was okay. It was probably my least favorite so far. Chapter 5 was fantastic, very juicy. I hope you enjoyed this recap. I'm going to spend all weekend reading, and I'm just going to put out content as often as I can on this stuff. I'm going to try to keep it around 2 to, depending on the chapters, I'll try to keep it like this, where I just cover a couple chapters, talk about it instantly so I can get my thoughts out there, and then I'll keep going with the book. So I'm asking that you check back lots, share these videos, click the thumbs up, hype them, all the things, check the playlist so you can see all my videos, and please do leave me your comments on this. Let me know your thoughts. That's going to do it for me. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. Thank you for all your lovely comments. Everybody has been so nice and thanking me for my time spent on this, and it's my pleasure. I'm so happy to be talking about this. I think this book is fantastic. Anytime we can expose those two, I'm for it. And I think Tom does a great job of doing it, not just for the sake of, he's not just looking to be nasty. He comes with facts, and I'm here for that. So that's going to do it for me. Leave me your thoughts on this one. Do check out my merch. Thank you to everybody who's picked it up. I have, of course, the flock. I have all different colors of the mug I'm just showing to, and I give up. Same on that. I have it in mugs, stickers, shirts, all that stuff. So check out my merch. Thank you guys so much for everything. I can't wait to bring you more stuff like this. Take care. Bye-bye. Hi. Oh my gosh. This book is so good. I'm telling you, Briefings was good. Chapter 5. I really enjoyed this, especially the second part of the chapter. It was a long chapter. It's probably the longest one so far. And I thought it was really good. I feel like I got more insight to the bull stuff. So if you're interested in the bull stuff, read that chapter for sure. But that's going to do it for me. I'm going to wrap this up so I can keep reading and bring out more stuff. So I'm telling you, check back lots. I'm going to try to make, I'll add shorts onto the end. I'm going to try to make shorts out of this. I'm going to try to just read as much as I can over the weekend and just post. So no rhyme or reason, no schedule, just go. So that's my plan. So thank you guys for being here. Let me know your thoughts on all this. You guys are wonderful. I appreciate you all so much. I love this flock. I love your positive comments. I love your enthusiasm, and you're brilliant. You brighten every day for me. Thank you. And now I'm going to make my shorts. This is where you get to watch me work. It's so weird, I know, but it does help me. It's helping me because before, these videos are like 40 minutes long. So I have to sit and wait for a part. I can cut it. It just takes so long. So if I just do it at the end, I can chop, go, read. So that's why I'm doing it like this. Thank you for understanding. So I'm going to dive right in. And if you're new here and you're like, what are you doing? I just record these little shorts at the end so I can chop them up and post them. So let's see here. What should I do on this? I think, again, chapter 4 was a little slow, so I think I'm just going to go right into chapter 5. Okay. So, okay, here we go. Hey guys, I am deep into Betrayal by Tom Bower, and it is excellent. In chapter 5, we're seeing more of how Harry and Meghan are just awful people as per usual. Now, something interesting that came up is Harry seemed to be completely unaware, according to Tom Bower, how Meghan had, quote, ruthlessly dished her own family, how she let them all go. And he goes into how she seemed to be encouraging Harry to do the exact same. That's where he says on page 37, quote, encouraging a similar break between Harry and Charles did not seem to trouble Meghan. They're racist, she suggested, was the view to take, and publicly too. So if you believe Tom Bower, and I do believe Tom Bower, she cooked it up. She cooked it up as a means to cut ties from the family and to enact her plan to move to California. Shocker to nobody, but just disgusting to see. All right, join me for more of this book breakdown. Thank you so much. Okay, so there's that one. Isn't that disgusting? I hear that. I'm just like, oh God, terrible. All right. Okay. All right. I am covering Betrayal by Tom Bower. And Meghan is really, according to Tom Bower, I'm on chapter 5 briefings. She is using Diana to provoke Harry and his anger toward the family. So a specific example is that Harry would be so furious with the media and he would claim that they were distorting the facts to suit their agenda, as we've heard Harry do. I mean, hello. Have you seen any of his court cases? But Meghan would chime in and say things like, quote, just like against your mother, knowing that the mention of Diana would make Harry spiral and make him want to push the family away even further and isolate him. So isn't that interesting? Something we all suspected, but to see it in print like this, ugh. I'm loving this book. I hope you're enjoying my recaps of it. Be sure to check out my channel as I continue on discussing the book. Okay, there's that one. Let's see. Okay. This was interesting, I thought. Okay. Hey guys, I am reading Betrayal, the book by Tom Bower, and it is so good. In chapter 5, it's called Briefings. We're seeing more of how Harry began to change once he met Meghan. Specifically, there was a royal photographer that worked with the Sun. His name was Arthur Edwards, and he spoke openly about how Harry used to be fun and friendly, with the photographers and the press, and he understood that the press and the royal family kind of needed each other, to do their jobs. Well, Harry would change. He wouldn't look at the quote, according to Tom Bowers, everything had changed. He could not even look at me, let alone talk to me. So no more was the happy Harry we had seen previously. During his visit to Ireland in July 2018, Harry ignored the photographer's suggestion to play ball. That was something that previously we had seen out of Harry, and he would ignore it. And he used to join in with the kids at the schools, and he was no longer doing things like that. They would be able to get great pictures as a result, but Harry wasn't allowing that. So, again, an interesting quote here is, after Meghan, everything became awful. Something had ruptured. So again, not a shocker to hear, but everything that we suspected. So I'm enjoying this book so much. I hope you are too. And check back for lots more recaps of it. Okay. There's that. Let's see. Ooh, this one was good. Here we go. Let's do. Okay. Hey guys, I am working my way through Betrayal, the Tom Bower book, and right now I'm in chapter 5, and it is so juicy. Did you know that when Harry proposed to Meghan, she live streamed it. I didn't. I knew that she had taken photos, which I already thought was kind of weird. But no, she live streamed it. According to Tom Bauer on page 40, instinctively, she live streamed it, thinking that eventually she'd be able to capitalize on it. So she live streamed it to her former friend, Jessica Moroni, and she did the commentary over it, saying he's doing it, he's actually doing it, and live streamed the proposal. And again, the thought process was that she could monetize that. Absolutely unbelievable. How did this not throw up 100 red flags for Harry? I have no idea. But this book is juicy and I'm loving it. So check out my channel for more recaps about it. That is juicy. That's so weird. How did he not know? How did he not see that that is a huge red flag? Okay, let's see here. Okay, let's continue on. Okay. I am working on the book Betrayal. It's so juicy, the Harry and Meghan book by Tom Bauer. And something interesting has come up in chapter 5 about, again, this bullying stuff that Meghan had been accused of, that allegedly, when Harry found out about it, his response was that, quote, employees could not take constructive criticism. So he's trying to put it back on the employees. That's not a shocker. Remember in Spare, he tried to say that they were crying at their desk because they were sad that he and William had a breakdown in their relationship. And we all said, that's not why they were crying at their desk. They were miserable. Well, he said that the media should, quote, be told his version and the employees should be asked to sign NDA. So this is the same guy that said they're willing to lie to protect my brother. And yet we see evidence of him trying to get everybody to lie to protect Meghan. Again, complete hypocrites. I'm loving this book. Thank you, Tom Bauer, for this incredible deep dive. I'm really enjoying it. And I hope you are too. All right, let's see if there's anything else. Okay. I'm working my way through Betrayal, and I'm loving this book so much. Chapter 5 really goes into some of the bullying accusations against Meghan. Well, Meghan and Harry, but specifically Meghan, and they accuse her of playing, quote, mind games with her staff. They go into specific examples where in front of people, she would ask a specific employee to do a task, and then the next meeting completely ignore that employee, turn to somebody else and ask them to do the same task in front of the other employee and try to make them feel terrible or unseen or unnoticed, like just belittling them and dehumanizing them, I think is the right word to use here. Absolutely disgusting. More accusations against her. And again, the term Sussex Survivors Club came up as a result of this behavior. So I think this book is so good. Again, it's going deeper into this stuff and I'm enjoying it. And I hope you are too. Thanks so much for being here. And check out my channel for more recaps of this book. All right, I think I'm going to leave this here. I think that's good. I got to keep reading. I'm so excited to get back to it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. I hope you had the best day. Take care. Bye-bye.